Hello, we are starting with another part of Spark machine learning library. In this Spark machine learning library, there are various utilities available for classification. There are various algorithms like logistic regression. For regression, you have some advanced algorithms for generalized linear regression. Then you have decision trees available, random forest and gradient boost trees. Then you can do recommendation with the help of ALS, and you can do clustering k-means and JMM. Then the topic modeling was also there, supported by Spark machine learning libraries. You can do the LDA, and here we'll discuss frequent item set association rules and sequential learning type pattern mining type of thing in detail. In the FP growth, first we have to understand fundamental theory of FP growth for the recommendation purpose. In the FP growth, where FP stands for the frequent pattern in the data set for the transactional analysis. So you have a transactional database of suppose item set that you had purchased from the retail market, means bread, butter, jam, or various other products. You have the item set. You actually calculate the frequency of those item sets. You want to calculate that which product had been sold most. So you do the calculation for those products and how these products could be represented. These products could be represented with the help of some character or some frequency or some IDs. So these are the ways you can represent those items. Like you can have for the bread, you can say B as the ID. For other things, you can have F, A, C, D, G type of IDs for representing those products and items. In this algorithm, you first start calculating the frequency of those item set as the frequent item. You actually try to do analysis and then you generate the tree. And for the FP tree, that is for the FP tree, how you generate those FP tree? You generate FP tree based on the most frequent item. So in this example, in the lowermost part, you have a transaction ID 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. These are having items bought F, A, C, D, G, I, M, P, and you have done frequency analysis like F is occurring 4 times and it is above the threshold of 3, means F is occurring more than 3 times. So you choose F as the frequent item. Then C is also occurring very frequently. It is occurring again 4 times. So C should be the part of a frequent item. Again, A was occurring frequently. So you choose A as the frequent item, then M as the frequent item, then P as the frequent item, because these are occurring frequently, and thus you create this type of ordered frequent items. And then after this you create FP tree, means the tree like F was occurring, C was occurring, A was occurring, M was occurring in the chain, then P was occurring in the chain. F, C, A, M, P was occurring in the chain. Then again you have F, C, A, and then you have another chain as B, M. So F, C, A, B, M was the chain. You have created another chain. Then you have F and B as the another chain. Then after that you have a different chain with the C. So C, B, and P was being connected. So this is how you do the analysis and you create this type of tree with programming and computation type of thing. The main purpose is to understand how the fundamental FP growth algorithm works. Then we'll see the parallel version of this algorithm. And the frequent item set was being extracted from the FP tree so that you can have the ordered analysis. In the FP tree, there are input of transactional database that we had seen, item bots, and then you create the FP tree as the intermediate output, means you have the intermediate output, and then draw rules with the help of the rule analysis. Like if F, C, and A item was being purchased, then most probably A and M and P was being purchased. If F, C, A was being purchased, then most probably B and C would also be purchased. So this type of rules you try to generate as the final out. And in next, in Spark machine learning libraries, a parallel version of the FP growth was there, and it is called as parallel FP growth. And for this parallel version of FP growth, you have actually distributed the workflow of the growing FP tree, and you do the suffix analysis of those transactions, and you this makes a single machine, this makes the FP growth algorithm more scalable as compared to you are running FP growth in the single machine. So if you could able to run FP growth in 100 machine, then it would be much better than you are running FP growth on the single machine. So 100 machine could perform better than the single machine. So this is what the power of the scalability with the help of parallelism. Then FP growth partitioning and computation was there, where you execute each machine with the independent set of group mining. Means you form the group of data set and you do the independent mining for those groups. And then in the end, you merge those results. This was it means by FP growth, parallel partitioning and computation analysis. This was the example of MapReduce used for the FP growth for doing the parallel FP growth type of thing. And how it been done? The composed lower cases were representing the items as we had already seen. So there were the five transaction as we had seen earlier. So these the same five transaction was being used, like it was given in the left hand most column F C D G I M P. So you just run the simple algorithm and you short the algorithm and removing the infrequent items, means those which are having less frequency you don't require them for the analysis because these are insignificant. So you choose only the frequent items like F C A M P, and then in the second row you have FCABM, and in the third FB, and in the fourth CBP. And then you do the mapping process. In the mapping process, what you do the analysis, like you put P and then you put FCAM for saying that if you have P as the key and then you have the value of FCA and M, then P was been already done, and thus you left with FCA and M. If M will occur, then FCA would be chosen. Then M was also being done. Then you choose for the A as the key. The F and C was being remaining, so you put F and C. Then A was also being done. So for the C, you have only F. And then for the second row, you can do the mapping part where the key is M and you have F, C, A, B as the value. Then B as the key and F, C, A would be the value. Then for similarly for A and C you have done, and then you process for the fourth and the fifth and the sixth. So this was being the part done by the map reduce type of thing, where you do the coding for the mapping. But as we see, MapReduce internal framework would also do the some of the processing, where it do the shuffling and doing the helpful things. So in between, the helpful thing would be done by the MapReduce, and all the parallel computation would be taken care by the MapReduce framework of Apache Spark. And then after that, you write the code for the reduce. In the reduce, you collect all the value for the P, you collect all the value for the M, you collect all the value for the B, you collect all the value for the A, you collect all the value for the C. And how you do? If P occurs, then F, C, A, and M would also occur. If P occurs, then F, C, A, and M would also occur. So you do the for the unique key of P, you start merging the values of P in the various different parts, and then in the end you try to form and you form the conditional fp tree, where you say that means if c is having value greater than 3, then p would also occur. If f and in the second row, if f, c, and m is having value 3 greater than 3, then m would also occur. Then b don't have any such values, means b can't be the rule, it can't be used for the rule formation. Then in the if f and c is greater than 3, then a would be occur. So the fp tree will actually start forming some of the rules with the significant items, like if a customer had purchased bread and butter, then it most probably purchased the jam also. So what you do the target marketing, means you do say that this was the jam with this offer, would you like to purchase if you had purchased bread and butter? So this is what actually the online marketing of Flipkart, Amazon do. If you purchase bread and butter, it will automatically start showing you that jam is also there, milk was also there. You can add the milk and jam also to the cart. This is what it means by the doing recommendation. Means how you are able to do, because you had a retail market data set of many customers where they had purchased bread, butter, milk, jam all together, and they haven't purchased bread, butter, jam and some soap or something. So they haven't purchased all the things together. Why? Because the customer want to purchase stuff for the breakfast: bread, butter, jam and milk. These four would be occurred mostly for the customers who are purchasing the for the breakfast. Once a customer purchase bread, butter, then you recommend jam and milk as well. That's why if you had seen in the most of the shops, all the breakfast item was kept together, and this was since thousands of years. Why they keep bread, butter, jam, and all these things together? It is simple common sense. Because the customer purchases bread, butter, jam together. Did you get? So these items that we are talking about, F, C, A, M, actually belongs to these type of items. You purchase laptop and you purchase laptop bag, so probably you will also purchase pen drive, or you will also purchase some of the laptop table. So the laptop table and pen drive should be recommended, and most probably you will purchase mouse, so mouse would also be recommended. Most probably for the laptop accessories, you would also like to have some earphones or some speakers or something. So these all type of things would also be recommended. This is the way actually modern marketing was working. Next, we'll see how this map reduce works in detail. And this was the complex diagram that you see, where you actually take input data of transaction, where you have P processors, P CPU was running for the mapping part. And what it does sharding. What is sharding? Sharding actually means you divide the database into successive parts and storing those parts into some shard, or P different CPU was being used for doing processing. So it means a large data set was being divided into P different data sets, and then this was being used and said to be as a shard. And then you do the parallel computing part, and parallel counting was started. And then you do how the parallel computing was being started. You do the support count as we did for the word count example. Then you do the reducing part, means merging those values together, and you generate a list of F, means F list, means of the frequent item. F stands for the frequent item. You generate the list of the frequent item which is having very high significant frequent, and then you actually try to group those items in the next step. And how you group them? You divide all the items in the F list into the q groups, means of the q item sets. And then you do the list generation, and you say that the g list was the new list with the help of grouping those items. Then you again start doing parallel computation for FP growth. First, you did parallel computation of map reduce for generation of group items, and now you start doing another map reduce for analysis of FP growth. And how you do? You do for the each shard, means each shard was being used by a mapper for processing those G list. So G list was being stored in the shard, and this shard was being used and being processed with the key value pairs. And this key value pair is being used where each key represent group ID. And this group ID was being used for the group dependent transactional analysis. And this forms a group dependent transaction. And again, this within the map reduce, there was a feature which actually do the grouping type of thing. So all these group ID of being stored in the into a shard, means a separate shard was group for group 1, separate shard for group 2, separate shard for the group N, separate shard for the group Q. So there are the Q groups we formed. Then the CPU was being used for processing, p CPUs was being used for processing those group in the reducer part. Then you do the reducing, and in the reducing you again generate the sum of the results, and it was being stored in the shard. And this reducer process one or more groups together, and then the reducer will start generating the local FP tree according to the code that you had written based upon the discovered patterns. So you write the code for the mapper and you write the code for the reducer, and then you do the aggregation of the result, whole result. Then you aggregate all the result as the final result, means you can generate rules out of it, you can do the recommendation out of it, you can do anything that you want as the form of the final result as aggregation. And for this aggregation also you can do the CPU map reduce type of thing, anything that you want. It means you, in this example we had seen three map reduce algorithms working one after another. So these are like stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. All the three stages were kept separate. So recall that RDD, resilient distributed data set. So this shard was an RDD. Did you get my point? This shard was being defined in 2008, and RDD comes later. And the shard, which was being called by parallel FP growth team, was actually been renamed or reset as shard, as RDD. So RDD actually a type of shard, you can say. So this shard and RDD have a very close correlation, and this shard was being created by every map reduce process. Similar to the RDD was being created after every map reduce process. And recall the RDD diagram that we had seen. You have narrow dependencies, you have wide dependencies, and where you have the wide dependency, you form the stage. So you formed here in this example, you formed three stages. In first stage, you did parallel computing map reduce for counting and grouping of the items. And in this stage one, you have the wide dependency, means complex processing. So you did all this complex processing within the stage one as the map reduce. And what you did in the stage two, in the stage two, you did parallel computation for the calculation of FP growth. And in the FP growth, you did the stage 2 analysis for the RDD that we had discussed. In this stage 2, you again had the wide dependencies, means complex processing. So you did all this complex processing within this stage, in the stage 2, for the generation of FP tree and FP growth. And then you did all the processing, and then you passed the narrow dependencies in the stage 3, and you did the narrow dependency for the aggregation of again the analysis of aggregation and all the complex processing of wide dependency within the stage 3. So you do the complex processing of the wide dependency within a stage, and you do the narrow dependency analysis passing from stage 1 to stage 2, and then you do the narrow dependency from stage 2 to stage 3. This is what it means by doing the analysis of RDD. And here shard was actually a type of RDD, or you can say RDD was a type of shard, means shard and RDD was almost similar things. And here what you are seeing, three stages were of narrow dependency, and within those narrow dependency you are doing wide dependencies, means complex analysis as the wide dependency, and you are doing simple analysis from stage 1 to stage 2 and stage 2 to stage 3. Next we'll see how this parallel FP growth works in context of data mining. So in terms of data mining, FP growth actually have two hyper parameters. What are those two hyper parameters? Minimum support and minimum confidence. In the minimum support, you calculate the frequency of the items. If that item have a frequency above the threshold, means you have an item which is having frequency of 3, which is above 5, which is means 5 transaction, you have a item occurring 3 times in 5 transactions. So this means you have support of zero point 0.6, which is above your threshold. or you can say you have a threshold of 3, so you select that item. And in the support, after the support, you have confidence. So in the confidence, you actually try to generate the association rules. How you generate the association rules? You calculate for the connection of item x. Item set x means item set x could have a, b, c, 3, 4, 5, anything. So these are the items which were kept in the x, and it is appearing 4 times, and y was occurring only 2 times. So means if x would occur, then y will also occur. Then how many times it is occurring means both the things were occurring. You had heard about the conditional probability or Bayes theorem for the probability analysis, where you do the conditional analysis. How do you do the conditional analysis? You calculate the conditional probability. How you calculate? If y occur, then how many times x would also occur? Or you do the vice versa. Means it means the occurrence of x and y, how many time would have the same. You say if x occurs, then y will also occur. So you calculate the conditional probability, and 2 by 4 is that conditional probability, that y co-occur only 2 times if x occurs 4 times. Out of occurrence of 4 times of x, you have only 2 times y co-occurring with x. So you divide 2 by 4 and you calculate conditional probability as 0.5. If it is above than your threshold or equal to the threshold, then this x drive y rule was being generated. Then you have third partitioning parameter as the hyperparameter, where you do the distributed type of work analysis, means how many partition you want for the distributing that data set. So this is like another parameter. Then in the FP growth model, you provide frequent item set in this format to the data frames. Means you have items with some array, and you have frequency with some value stored like 0.5, 0.4, all this frequency was there. 0.6 was the value that we had calculated for the support in the example. So you have the data frames of frequent items that formatted such that you have item array and you have frequency of those. And then you generate output as association rules. How you generate? In the form of confidence. You have a format of data frame which is having antecedent, then comma, you have consequent, and then you have the confidence value which is in the double. So you have the data frames output generation like this: antecedent, comma, antecedent means x, then comma, drive y as the consequent array of the item sets, and then you have the confidence of that. So this was the simple example of the parallel FP growth. Means you import the Java util libraries, then you import the FP growth libraries of Apache Spark, and you import the SQL libraries of Apache Spark. Then you do the factory construction, row factory construction for the data that you want, and you generate the list of rows. And this list of rows was being gone inside the analysis part, and you have the schema for the analysis part. And again you create data set as the row with the help of data and schema that you had created. Then you run the FP growth model algorithm, which was pre-defined and pre-available on the Apache Spark machine learning library as org.apache.spark.ml.fpm.fp growth model. So you call that library, and then you pass the parameter items should be there, and zero point 0.5 support should be there, minimum support should be there, and zero point 0.6 minimum confidence should be there. And then you fit the items for according to the data set you had defined. Items df means the format that you want to set, means the schema that you want to set for the item. Then you do the model training to show the frequent item set, then you show the association rules as the output, and then you just uh, transform the whole things according to the items DF means the way you want to output the result. Next, we'll see in ubiquitous computing, and thanks then by